Welcome everybody, this is Denny with my YouTube channel Why Is This True, and Karl Mollison from teamarchangel.com is joining me again today for another channeling session. And today we're going to do a channeling with a light being who incarnated as Bill Cooper. His full name is Milton William Bill Cooper, and he was born in May of 1943. And he was murdered in his front yard in November of 2001. He was known as an American conspiracy theorist, a radio broadcaster, and an author who was known for his book that he put out in 1991 called Behold a Pale Horse, which I believe is available on the internet now. I'm not sure. I think there's Kindle versions of it out. It's a monumental work. It's referred to quite a bit in the conspiracy circles. He warned of multiple global conspiracies, some involving extraterrestrials, and he also described HIV and AIDS as a man-made disease that was used to target the black community, Hispanics, and homosexuals. And there was a cure that was made before it was implemented, according to Bill Cooper. There's quite a bit more information and videos about this guy. He is still held in very high regard in many circles. A lot of people that I know refer to him quite a bit. Most notably in my circle, Penny Bradley has high regard for Bill Cooper. So in any case, I want to thank you, Karl, for joining me again today. We've been kind of on a marathon here lately, but thanks for joining me.
Well, this is like deja vu all over again. It seems like we can't slow down, but I think we will. So that'll be good because I need to catch up with other things. But I'm delighted to be here and sharing this opportunity. I love what you're doing. I love the platform you've created. I think this is so important. So anything I can do to contribute, to help, and bring information forward, I welcome the opportunity because there's much we need to know. So.
Yeah, it's been such an education for me, and I'm so appreciative of this. It's obviously divinely inspired. There's no other way to explain this. Our meeting and everything that's happened subsequent to that, it's just been wonderful. I do want to give you an opportunity. We talk a little bit about what you do. Most people who've been following this know all this information, but I just want you to give you an opportunity to explain what's going to occur in this video and why we're doing it, etc. And then we'll get started.
Okay, thank you, Danny. Yeah, first of all, I'm a channeler, and that's why I'm here today. I do other healing work. I am a hypnotist by training. And I'm a seeker of knowledge and truth. And my channeling has opened up a whole new vista because I'm interacting with the divine realm directly. And they know things. They know everything. And the light beings themselves are wonderful resources because they have huge history. They're interconnected. They can find information instantly that you might want to know. And the high-level beings are really working for us and through us all the time. And this is a message that needs to come back and be central in our thinking. Just in the old days, everyone was a worshiper, they were a believer, and that was for a good purpose. And the need is there for us to honor our divine origin and be a part of a union with the divine. And that's been coming through in this work again and again and again. Because once people leave here and go back to the light, if we talk with them, they all say the same thing. You need to cultivate your belief. You need to be working with us and with Creator. This is how it's supposed to be. And the fact that you're disconnected and isolated is a dilemma for you. It's not the normal circumstance of things. So we've all been disconnected, dumbed down, dimmed, and our light has been shrunken to diminish us, and that's been on purpose. So what I do a lot is remote spirit releasement work for people, and dark spirits are really the main cause of all of this. All of the trouble that's going on in the world flows directly or indirectly from them. They drag us down, they create distortions of human thinking, they close off the connection to the higher self, which is the gateway to the soul level. And, we sense and know that as our conscience. That's our higher self chiming in to remind us, oops, you're going over the line. And if we have that channel closed down, we lose that. And this is how people become narcissistic and eventually, at a most extreme level, become sociopaths. And this is not a good thing. There's a lot of those folk running around in government and all levels of society. This is why companies can be so ruthless, because they're run by a sociopath or two at the top who have no scruples and they don't feel compassion. So these dark beings are that way, and they're trying to manipulate us to be the same. They are also influencing the negative ETs, who are also messing with us. There are several groups of ETs on the planet now, and they're infiltrating society. They've done this for thousands of years now, so they're quite adept. They're well entrenched. They're running things largely from behind the scenes. We seem to be in control, and that's an illusion. And they let us have our human activities because it keeps us busy. But meanwhile, they're trying to drag us down more and more and more and more. Getting us to fight with each other is the most visible manifestation of this. We shouldn't be doing that. We're beings from the light. We're divine. And I've been told directly that if we were left on our own, no one would be harming another person. None of us would act that way. The only reason we do is because we've been manipulated from within. So what I am hoping to accomplish with these interviews is to bring out into the open some of the realities of this and what the people in the light who we interview can tell us and offer as examples of how they've lived their lives, what they've done, and what that means now and the implications for us going forward, because we're still here in the action. They are now sidelined back home in the light. Good for them. That's a better place to be than here. So even though we talk a lot about things that are dark and creepy, there's nothing truly to fear because there are no big problems. There are only temporary ones. This whole human saga of multiple centuries is still a small problem in the scheme of things, because each one of you watching this are divine beings in your own right. You're an extension of Source Creator directly from Creator's energy. And you are immortal. You have an immortal soul. It's going to go on forever. There is no death. There's nothing really to fear in that. It's just a transition to another place in another form of your energy. But you stay who you are. And if you come back and reincarnate again, you pick up where you left off in a new body, but you get to experience more things and grow in other ways. So we have lots of opportunities in front of us. So when I do remote spirit releasement, I'm cleaning things up. I'm helping remove these interlopers and their influences, ET influences, energetic distortions, the harm we do to one another, the harm we do to ourselves. Each person is the greatest negative influence on themselves because they hold the greatest power to make bad things happen. And our consciousness has power. And when we direct that against ourselves, it's not a good thing. So there are a lot of opportunities to improve and to get over the legacy of our actions in the past, because that never goes away. We create some issue, some problem for ourselves or someone. That energy carries forward, and it'll follow us from lifetime to lifetime until we rebalance it. So this is what we're dealing with. We have a kind of an uphill slog at the moment, but we're making progress, and I'm told the light is winning. We just need to keep at it, and we need to actively seek partnership with the divine. And I get this all the time. And one of the interesting things about this is if you follow our interviews, you you'll see the same themes come up again and again and again. And that's because this is literally what is going on. When people go back to the light, they have that shock of remembering watching all the drama here and the craziness and knowing they were part of it, and in the dark, coming in as a human with the memory wiped clean, not knowing all this craziness is going on behind the scenes. But they're watching from the light, and it's a huge drama and an amazing exercise in negativity. And these beings who are this way are just lost. They've strayed from their path big time, and they're trying to drag everyone else down with them. So once that's corrected, things will get back on track, and then we'll be living in bliss again. And we'll be in a new paradigm with an empowered, divine physical human with free will and free agency. And this is a new paradigm. We are special. This is something that doesn't really exist anywhere else in the universe. There are many thousands of advanced civilizations, but they're on a shorter leash. They have a closer integration with Creator. They don't have total freedom to mess up, even. And so they don't. And that's a fine way to live, but it's not the same thing as being who we are. And once we learn how to stand strong and be pure and work from the heart and work through divine principles, then creating harm to others will be unthinkable. And we'll have tremendous power, but we will not be tempted to misuse it or abuse it. And that's the thing that's happened to get things off track. It started with those spirits who went down that path and then found it was harder and harder to get back. And now they're so reduced in power and in their connection that it's iffy. So my work partially helps them, and that helps everyone else to raise things up. But each one watching this, each person can make an individual decision to be a part of this shift in consciousness directly, not just as a spectator and an interested curiosity seeker and scholar, or however you might view what it is you do, to satisfy your own interests and so on. There's an action step that everyone can make, and it's simple. Reach out with your heart and ask the divine realm to come in and support what you do, to support us, to raise us up, to remove negativity and help inspire us to return to a world where we value life and we don't want to take away anything from anyone else. And if we all partnered with the divine, this would shift immediately. This is what I'm told. But most people have forgotten that they can make a connection like that. And so they're drifting around. They're really not contributing. They're not a factor. They are sidelined, and that's purposeful. That's the result of programming, subjugation, and so on. So one of the interesting things in like this interview today with this fellow, I guess he was a whistleblower. All I know is what Denny just said. I have not researched this guy. I have my own research that I do, and I don't have time to read up on a lot of things. But one of the interesting phenomena that comes through in this interview series is because of the fact there's no death, these people don't go away. If they're taken out of action, even murdered, they're still accessible. And they'll come back again. And the record of what they did is on file. And it's accessible and reviewable by intuitives. There are no secrets. Cover-ups only work for a literally thinking human who can't do anything other than use the five senses. But beyond that, everything still exists and everything is interconnected. So it's all folly to have these dramas play out the way they do. It's all wasted motion, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So the people who think they're gaining really aren't. And they're going to have a huge karmic debt to pay for all this grief that's been caused. This is a huge karmic debt. I would not want to be a part of it. I'm glad I'm where I am because I think I've made some progress because I'm not one of them. And I'm not sitting around in the dark. I'm awakened and I'm aware. And I think that's come through doing some work for myself and staying strong and doing healing as needed to keep myself on track enough that I can take part the way that I do.
Right.
So that's a path that's open for anyone who wants to go in that direction.
Okay.
So I offer these services to people in family groups, people's kids. This is a huge problem. Kids are infested with these things. They're wide open. They need protection. They can't defend themselves. And spirits taunt young people relentlessly and will get into them. And it'll be a lifelong chipping away to undermine them. What I'm told by Creator is fully half of all the babies who are crying are doing so because they're being tormented by dark spirits. Now, I know you don't want to hear that, but this is the way it is. And when I do remote spirit releasement for little children and infants, I typically find they're already attached. So it's just like germs. They're out and out, but we can do something about it, and that's a good thing. This is all fixable stuff, including the incursions by dark spirits and extraterrestrials. We can solve that problem if we get help from the divine. They're waiting. They're waiting for us to make requests. That's part of this experiment. What are the humans going to do, left on their own? Are they going to find their way back now?
Right.
Or are they go down? Creator is revenue neutral. Creator is waiting to see. Creator wants this to work out. It's been a huge investment. But if it doesn't work out, that's because maybe it can't, at least with us. But if it does work out, it's going to open everything up. So it's a cause worth supporting. And you're involved and you're in on it. And you're here because you chose to come. And you came knowing this was going on, and you're jumping into a battle zone. This is a hot LZ. You parachuted in from she spit you out, and you burped your way up, and now here you are. So it's time to wake up and go to the real school of life and understand, maybe for the first time, what really is going on. Because all of the education system is a make-work project to keep us limited.
Right.
Throw us some crumbs.
Right.
But not enough we can really do something to threaten the status quo.
Right. Well put. Wow. Okay, everyone. Bye. that was epic.
I put everyone away.
No, that was really well put. Okay. All right. Well, I'm all charged up to go here. That was beautiful, Karl.
Oh, well, thank you. I do have strong convictions about what I'm doing and why. It is a passion, and I've dedicated my life for a long time to this cause, and I work with it every day.
Right.
And the stories are really quite compelling, and the phenomena are truly amazing. Right. Truly amazing. People get stuck not going to the light, and they hang around as spirits in limbo. This is not a place to be. About 1 out of 3 people who die. So I do a lot of spirit rescue work. And the reason that happens is people aren't ready. They've drifted away from religion. They're not believing in something anymore. They're not prepared to move on when that happens.
Yeah.
And they're struggling so much and not getting the right kind of help. So they're beat down, they're distressed, and they're emotionally at a low ebb. This is not a good preparation to make a transition and have to re-engineer yourself back into light being mode. So a lot of people do need help. And that's another thing that's a consequence of all of the rough and tumble that we go through, and we get so beat up by life. So, but it's part of the solution. Knowing that doesn't have to be permanent.
Right.
It only lasts as long as it takes to call me and hire me to go and do a rescue. Other people do this too.
Right.
This isn't about me. This is about the dilemma.
Right.
So I'm taking care of my little corner and those people who find their way to me. I can't do it all, but
Right.
this is a start.
Yeah. Well, it's a beautiful thing too, because we're finding out as a result of these interview series that people are discovering you. And in one recent case, we've got somebody who's actually going to get some training with you, and she potentially could end up doing a lot of the same kind of work that you're doing. And so this is spreading. It's got perhaps humble beginnings, but like a lot of things, with the context that we have, it can spread exponentially, and the students become teachers, etc. So with that, I think I'd like to get started.
Okay.
We have 10 questions ahead of us for Bill, so I'll ask you to go ahead and start, Karl.
All right. It'll take me a couple of minutes to establish the safety around the work. This is very important in any intuitive outreach, to establish safety and work through the divine is my recommendation. There's lots of interlopers, lots of false imposter beings who will come in and answer any intuitive outreach. And a lot of channelers are talking to extraterrestrial psychics and dark spirits, pretending to be archangels and ascended masters and so forth. More than 90%. This is very sad. People don't like to hear that, but this is what I'm told. And when I look at what people are doing, and I start to see the little flaws and the little things that don't add up and the things that conflict, and those are tip-offs, but it's not easy. Most of the time they're giving divine truths. They can talk a good game. So keep your wits about you out there and do the best you can to be careful and watchful and listen to information that you feel rings true for you. Don't just automatically accept things because someone who's, on TV or has a prominent following says it. Okay. This is Bill Cooper speaking.
Hello, Bill. Thank you for joining us. Were you in the light when Karl contacted you?
I was not in the light.
So a spirit rescue was performed?
That is correct. This saved me from the dilemma of being in between. We were watching your introduction and listening, and this indeed is a terrible fate to experience. It is worse than you can imagine, to be completely encased in nothingness. And then to have tormentors who manipulate you and taunt you and threaten you and can send ideas into your mind based on your past history, your past fears, your regrets, your doubts, and all of the negativity you have ever known comes back to you through them. So this is something everyone needs to know can happen, not to be afraid, not to fear their transition, because the rewards are bountiful and truly massive. To be back in the light is a return to who you truly are. You are all light beings. You are just on loan here in a physical vehicle to serve the light and to help humanity move forward and make progress. But you are diminished while you are here. You are restricted in your capability, your awareness. Your reach is limited, but that is a temporary state of affairs. And you are working towards a time when there will truly be heaven on earth, because light beings will be in light being mode during a physical incarnation. So I return to the place of safety and the many glories that we enjoy as light being, thanks to the both of you in taking an interest in me and my story, and then sponsoring this healing outreach to me. It has been a tremendous blessing, and I wish this for all those who struggle now, still remaining in limbo, and all those that I know will be meeting that same challenge, as people are dying every day, many unprepared to see the light callers and make a successful journey back home. So this is a tremendous need. Many can contribute who are able to reach out to the divine realm with requests for their rescue. All it takes is the asking from a person who believes they will be heard. And that is the only limitation. Any divine outreach must be based on true faith and belief in the possibility it can happen and in their worthiness to make the request. This is a basic requirement and the rule in place in how humans can interact with divine realm and successfully receive blessings directly. The divine realm is honoring totally the independence of each human to let them be the ruler of their particular corner of the universe. You are in charge. You are in charge of your life and everything that happens to you. The divine realm will not step in and alter the course in place. The choices you have made to become who you are and to be where you are and do the things you choose to do. You can get divine support at any moment simply by asking, but the divine will only respond in proportion to your readiness to ask for help and receive it and allow it in. And so this is a problem for many who no longer believe in themselves. And if you do not believe in yourself, you may be left on your own, because the divine will only follow your choices and your beliefs. So these are the rules of the road, so to speak. And in my case, when I left, it was under difficult circumstances, and I was not ready for the journey back. And so I got stuck on the way. Thank you from the deepest part of my soul for all you have done to rescue me from that plight.
Thank you. Can you tell us anything about the circumstances concerning your death that should be known?
This was orchestrated by government agents working for the secret elements, not for the official agencies you know of by name, but for a cabal of intelligence operatives working behind the scenes for those who truly control things. And this is a consortium of high-level power figures, those with great wealth who control the financial system and who control the governments of individual nations from behind the scenes. They are the true power brokers. They decide who receives political support, and they are in a position to impose leverage of all kinds in the day-to-day decision making. And they are also involved in orchestrating world affairs indirectly, using the clandestine organizations as their agents to foment trouble and discord and to cause problems, to disrupt the human institutions in many, many ways, to limit them, to restrict their success, to keep them from solving problems and introduce new ones whenever it is possible. And of course, their chief objective is to do this on a larger and larger scale. So they are limiting the effectiveness of healthcare while promoting the various ways of bringing death to many, many people. Civil disobedience, civil war, and international warfare, the choosing of sides, and the attempt to make the conflicts ever wider in scope. And the ultimate greatest desire is for world war, to kill as many humans by their own hands as can be achieved. This keeps the game going. It gives everyone something to do that serves the darkness. And this is a way to create a war of attrition that is short of a direct extraterrestrial mop-up. The divine realm is staying their hand in a way to prevent wholesale destruction. But the ability they have to intrude and manipulate is still very strong, and they have free will and free agency to do so. So this is being counterbalanced by some divine interventions here and there to prevent catastrophe. But the challenge remains for humans to see this as an ongoing issue, to trust themselves and not trust the institutions. And then if they align with the light, the changes will increase and will gain speed and will tip the balance much, much sooner to enable a shift to a higher state of being for all. This is what you are working for, and this is what Divine Realm has planned. The question mark is about how you yourselves will proceed from here. The past history has often been one of resignation and an abject surrender to the greater force by those in power. With gaining of independence and the winds of freedom blowing to inspire the heart to become, if needed, a rebel, there has been an awakening and many examples in recent times of independence flowering and pockets of freedom that blossom. And this is the demonstration of the presence of the light and its handiwork. There is much more needed. We were on this path ourselves, and we were working to uncover the work of the hidden masters and devoted ourselves with great intensity to this task. This we planned as our life mission. So we made the decision to come in with that purpose already pre-decided before our birth. And looking back, we feel quite happy that we did all that we did. It was not embraced as widely as we expected and as we hoped it would be. And the reason is because of my death. I was murdered to silence me, and that did serve to limit the consequence of all my prior work. By taking me out of action, I was unable to continue to beat the drum, to be a living witness, to appear in public and make a testimony in person about all that I was learning. There is value in the written word, but the many books are often creating a problem of the wheat being outweighed by the chaff. So the few works that bring forward truth are overwhelmed by much greater numbers of things less relevant to the important issues, and which fall greatly short of revealing the hidden reasons for people's problems and the problems of society. And as a result, they can only offer partial supporting solutions and not a fundamental cure. So if I were able to have lived longer, I would never have stopped, and the information would have grown and the voice become louder, and I could have been a major thorn in their side. And as it happened, I was a minor thorn, and the momentum was lost with my demise. So this was a temporary victory of theirs to co-opt me and silence me in this way. But you can see by my talking to you here, this was in many ways a fruitless endeavor for them, and ultimately a failure, because now I am back once again, and I am able to continue contributing, and I will be returning again to be among the physical human community, and will once again pick up the challenge and will devote my being with every thought and action to serving the cause of the light in moving humanity forward.
Okay, thank you. What is your view regarding the restoration of the U.S. Constitution and federal government, or the implementation of a proposed one for the new states as noted in your book, Behold a Pale Horse?